Hey guys, real quick before the video starts, I can go ahead and thank GStar59. He allowed me to use his Fallout 3 gameplay, which is just a lifesaver because I was hunting for some for so long, and he responded to me. He's like, yeah man, you can use it, and that was pretty awesome. He let me to use it. Go subscribe to him. He's pretty awesome. So yeah, thanks man. Bethesda is one of the greatest open world developers of all time. With games like Skyrim and Fallout, they're so amazing at open world immersive experiences that no one even comes close except for maybe, just maybe Rockstar. They're that good. And with the new Fallout and the new Elder Scrolls coming out, well, Elder Scrolls is a little further down the line, but with the new Fallout coming out soon, I thought it was appropriate to look back at all they've given us and count down the top 5 best Bethesda open world games ever. Now real quick before I start, my man DF Power Up just hit 50 subs, so yeah, go sub to him. Congratulations man, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so starting off today's list at the number 5 spot, it's a real flashback. It's Morrowind. Yeah, Morrowind, that's pretty old. It's probably older than most people watching this video, let's be honest. It's almost older than me. It's a few months younger than me. I was born in March, it was released in May. It's that old of a game, 2002. And the thing is, the story of the game is great. The characters are awesome, the choices, it's just really fun. The factions are really cool in that game, but the thing about it is the graphics. I know a lot of you retro gamers are going to be like, that's not a good reason, it's still a good game, who cares? But when it gets that outdated, it's, especially if you played like Fallout and Skyrim before that, it's like, I don't know if I want to play this. You know, it's like, it's so old and outdated. It's such a good game in its core, and if they remastered it, I think it'd be really good, but I don't know, it's just so old and outdated, and the engine's really bad, and it's lagging, it's really laggy, and it's, I don't know, it's a great game, but for the year it was developed, it takes away from it. So if you really like old games, I mean, I guess you can mod it to make it look better, but if you're on PC, but if you're really into old games like that, then it's pretty good. It's an amazing Elder Scrolls game, but for most of us, it's like, it's a little too old, a little too outdated. So it all comes in at number 5. Now coming at the number 4 spot is, ironically, Fallout 4, and I hate to put it so low, because I do love Fallout 4. But the thing about it is, it's not as good as the rest. As Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, no, it's not as good as those. I mean, it's really revolutionary in Bethesda games, so you get your first voiced character, and that's one thing a lot of people didn't like. Personally, I don't have a problem with it. Now, I did like when I could imagine my own tone, my own sarcasm, my own vision for what I'm saying, and that you have to imagine more that way, but I don't mind. Like, it doesn't take away from it in like Skyrim when you don't have a voice, but it doesn't take away from like that experience either when you play Fallout 4, at least in my opinion. So there's just a lot of stuff people don't like. Now, personally for me, the one thing I do not like about Fallout 4 is the side quests. I hate how much the side quests are the only good side quests are the factions, and the factions are the main story. The side quests are just so not very good in that game. They're not terrible. The ones that are there aren't that bad, but there's not that many, and they don't last very long. Like when you play Skyrim, you can go on a side quest like the Thieves Guild for like a week, and it'll take you that long, and it's so good and in depth. Becoming a nightingale and all that. That is so awesome. And then you get to Fallout 4, and the biggest side quest is like the Mayor's Ascent, or like the Pikmin's Blade one, or I don't know. There's more like that. That's like Fallout, not Fallout, the Vault 87, I think it is, that are pretty cool with like Curie and stuff. But I don't know. There's side quests, but it's just not nearly as in depth as a lot of Elder Scrolls and other Fallout games. So it comes in at number 4. It's not a bad game. It's a great game. I love the dialogue options, and I love a lot about that game. I love the main story. The main story is an incredible main story. It was awesome. But the thing is, the main story kind of has an umbrella over everything, so everything fits into that story, and you can't really branch out of it unless you get DLC. So, yeah, that comes in at number 4. It's a great game, but not as good as the rest on this list. So, yeah, comes in at number 4. Now, number 3 is The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And Oblivion is a game that arguably to some people is better than even number 1 on this list, which I think you already know, but I'm not going to say it, you know, just to be safe. But I don't know. I mean, people love Oblivion. It's a great story. It's a great game. Great open world. I mean, it's an amazing game. It really is. But it's kind of comical because they weren't very far in their development yet. They were still kind of learning themselves as a studio, in my opinion. And you have these awkward jump cuts where as soon as you talk to somebody, it goes straight into their face, and the graphics aren't that great, but they're not bad. They're still playable. It's a really cheesy game, and the dialogue in that game, in my opinion, is not that good. It's kind of cheesy and but the story itself in the massive open world is awesome in Oblivion. I really do like it, so it comes in at number 3. Now, number 2 is one of my personal favorites, and it is Fallout 3. being my first Fallout game, I didn't really know what I was getting into. When I first played it, I didn't really like it. The first, I played it for like an hour, and I was like, yeah, I don't really like this. And then I got bored of playing Infamous, over and over again, like a few months later, and I was like, I'll give this another shot, and I got so into it. I didn't really understand how Bethesda games worked at the time. I didn't understand that you're supposed to go just walk in a direction and just start quests, like, just do whatever you want, side quests. I didn't understand that. All I knew was the main story, but I played for so long. I think I played for like 30-40 hours, which isn't even that long. And I only really did the main story and a few other things, and just exploring. But I loved it. The main story is amazing, and yes, the graphics aren't that great, but it's still really good. And a lot of things that people don't like about Fallout 3 is because if you played Fallout 4 first, it's a big change. Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 is a huge difference between the two, because Fallout 3 is like an RPG type turn-based, like it's all about VATS back then. But Fallout 4 is more of a RPG, FPS kind of thing. Like, you're not really supposed to use VATS all the time. So people didn't like the gameplay of them, but Fallout 3, as far as the story and the narrative and just the world, was really good. But the gameplay of Fallout 4 is definitely better. It's definitely a lot more fun than Fallout 3's was. The gameplay wasn't that great, but as far as just the world itself, just the game, it was awesome. I loved it. So, comes in number 2. Could it really have been anything else, guys? You had to know it was Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim is by far the greatest game I've ever played. Besides maybe The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 is the only thing that gets up there in open world games. I loved it so much. My favorite game is by far Infamous and Infamous 2. But I love Skyrim. I have to admit that it's technically better, the story's better, everything is better. The main story itself is good, but it even shows that even though the main story, in my opinion, isn't that amazing, like it's not breathtakingly awesome, the story isn't, but there's so much to do in that game that you don't even really need to play the main story. Just get to where you can get shouts and leave it. You don't even have to play it. I went so long without ever even playing it. I played the companions, and then I found out I got to be a werewolf, and I wasn't really cool with that, so I left them. I did the Thieves Guild, and the Thieves Guild was just so awesome. I love becoming a Nightingale, and then the Dark Assassins, and then I think it's the Assassin's Brotherhood. I forgot their names, but guys, it was just so awesome. I love Skyrim so much. And the DLC, Dawnguard is my favorite DLC ever. I loved Dawnguard so much. And Dragonborn was really awesome too, such an amazing story. Skyrim is just, they really put a bunch of eggs in one basket. Like, they made that the greatest game they've ever made, at least in my opinion, by far. So it had to come in at number 1. Well guys, that is today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know, out of all these games, which one you love the most out of all Bethesda games. Now, they don't have to be the best, you can love any of them. They're all really good. It's Bethesda. When did they ever really screw up a game? Let's be honest. They're one of the greatest open world developers. All these games are good. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out, and God bless.